Aloha everybody. I'm out here on the 12th tee at the club at Kukui'ula, and today's video is all about par 3s. When we're talking about par 3s, we're talking about the short holes on golf courses where you're required, if you want to make par, to hit the green on the first shot. So it's a lot about evaluating the yardage, using a club that you're comfortable with, and figuring out a way to hit that green, because as we know, all the stuff around those greens is difficult to get up and down. Deep bunkers, usually sometimes there's water, could be thick rough. You can see here at the 12th, if you go long, you're gonna go into long native grass. If you're short, you can find a little bit of a collection area, but you're probably gonna end up in one of these deep bunkers. You're gonna have a tough bunker shot to an undulated green, and it's gonna be very difficult to walk away with par or better. You're probably gonna be trying to save bogey and avoid double bogey. So let's talk about par 3s, how to select yardage, how to pick your club, and how to evaluate what you should do. Okay, on this particular par 3, the distance from the back tee box is 156 to the pin, which is pretty much middle of the green. It's on the right side of the green. To the front of the green is 131. So if I hit something that goes at least 131, it's gonna hit the front of the green, and if it doesn't have a ton of spin, it'll kick forward deeper into the green. So that's where you start looking at par 3s. This particular par 3 is downwind and downhill. So that 156 quickly turns into maybe 145, 140, maybe even with a strong gust like that, we're talking about 135. Now we're running into the number we want to hit being the front of the green yardage. That's where you have to make a decision. Do you think the wind will affect the ball enough to send it further than the front of the green so that you end up by the flag? Or do you think that you need to play more than the front number, even with the wind, and chance the possibility that it could go over? So here's where you have to make a decision. Typically what I do is I look at the front number, and if it's downwind, I take that number or a little bit less, and that's the least I would ever take because I want it to get to the green. I don't want to end up in one of those bunkers short, have a difficult shot. I'm never gonna hit this 156. It's downwind, it's downhill. It's gonna play shorter than that. It's gonna play at least 145, maybe shorter. So I've pulled a 9-iron. That's kind of my 140, 145 club. It can go farther than that, it can go shorter than that. Just depends. I've got a tee. I like to tee up my ball when it's downwind because that allows me to impart some spin on the golf ball and clip it really nicely so that if it does go a little long, it's gonna stop when it hits the ground. The other thing to evaluate is which way is the wind blowing. So if we throw some grass up, it's blowing down and left, okay? So it's going that way. So I like downwind to have the ball get knocked down a little bit. So I would set up on the left side of the tee box. Some people may say, hey, the wind's blowing that way. I'm gonna set up on the right side of the tee box. But it's definitely something to evaluate as you decide, you know, what your plan is for this hole. So I'm gonna set up on the left side of the tee box. That's pretty typical for me. I'm gonna tee my ball up not too low, not real high, just kind of enough so that I can find the bottom of that golf ball. And then I'm gonna aim between the right side of the green and the flag, knowing that the wind is gonna move it left. This is 9-iron. Full 9-iron be 145. I think with the wind I'd go over, so I'm gonna hit sort of a 3/4 9-iron. Now, why not hit pitching wedge? Well, I certainly could, but my full pitching wedge only goes 130. If I happen to hit it a little higher than normal and the wind doesn't take hold of it, I'm gonna end up short. So I wanna make sure I hit the green and give myself a chance at par. Pick my line. Oop, knocked it off there. That's actually not a penalty. No intent to hit the ball. Pick my line just right of the pin, kind of at the left edge of that right bunker. Set my feet, Maybe take a practice swing before, a little 3/4 move. Commit, 3/4 swing over there. I've hit it, the wind's kind of knocked it down, and it's landed down here on the putting green, and I landed about here, bounced up onto the green. A little bit of flawed thinking, as you know, my full 9-iron goes 140, the yardage was 56. I thought the wind would affect it much more. I flighted that 9-iron well. It was good execution of a 3/4 9-iron, but my 3/4 9-iron only goes about 125. So it did, it went 125, bounced up to 130. I've left myself with about a 30-foot putt over a ridge here. So now it's all about lag putting. Now lag is a Scottish word that means two. The idea was that, yes, we want to try to make the putt, but at the very least we want to leave ourselves in a kind of 3-foot, 4-foot circle around the hole so that the next putt is very makeable. And so when we're looking at a lag putt, we might play a little bit more break than normal so that we don't have the chance of hitting it too far by or having it break off and take off a direction we don't want. This particular putt, when I read it and I look at it from what I think is the low side, and for those of you who've watched some other videos, you know I like to go what I think is the low side and look about 45 degrees. This definitely breaks a little bit from right to left. So I'm gonna pick a spot probably about 2 feet out right of the hole, and that's where I'm gonna start my putt. When you're lagging, you gotta use your wrists. You gotta allow your shoulder to turn, allow yourself to strike the putt in a way that's gonna get it to the hole. This has to go up this little hill here, over it, and then up the next mound, and I wanna get it up on the right level and give myself a chance at par. Slow down a little bit. Oh, almost made it. So I've left myself 3 feet. That was probably a little more aggressive than I should have been, but hit a good putt. Up to this putt, and as I've walked up, I'm always trying to read the green and see what it does. When I watched the putt the first time, it broke and it just missed the hole and it kept going left. So I know from this direction, it's gonna wanna move this way. I always pull the pin out. You don't have to, but I like to pull it out. I don't like it distracting me. The hole looks bigger to me, all that stuff. And when I'm hitting short putts, as I know I've talked about in putting videos, my whole plan is to leave this where it starts, swing the putter head like a hammer hammering a nail, and not have too much movement of the grip, which is going to change the orientation of the face. So I've got about 2 feet here. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna be aiming. There's a bug, get out of there. I'm gonna be aiming just left of center. That's where I wanna aim. Point my putter face, set my feet, let it go. Knocked it in. Easy 2-putt par. No bunkers, no rough. Leave the wedge in the bag. Think through your shots on par 3s. And as the great Jackie Burke said, learn how to play par 3s. 2s and 3s don't add up as fast as 4s and 5s. Thanks everybody, have a great week.